Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we hit the big 2-0. You know, I was racing through my head of like, what can we do for the 200th celebration? Should we book a big giant guest? Should we just look back over all 200 episodes and see how much we remember? How much should we make of this 200th episode? Because, other numbers have come and gone. Our 100th episode, we kind of talked about the fact that it was our 100th episode, but we also were mostly focused on talking about the Henson's Place documentary.
Oh, yeah, right.
So for this one,
we listened to every episode and we ranked them all.
Yeah, we're here for a 6-hour podcast where we're going to talk about our last 200 episodes of this podcast. I figured we could use this as an opportunity to look back over some of the moments of the last 200 episodes. But also, I felt like we did need to watch something, but I wanted it to be a little special something you hadn't seen before, and I didn't want it to just be the next Jim Henson Hour episode. So I took a page out of the 100th episode book and said, hey, how about a documentary? How about a documentary that has come up many times on this podcast? It is I Am Big Bird, the Carol Spinney documentary. So technically, we did watch something this week. I don't know that we're going to talk about it, beat by beat like we normally do on here, but I sort of wanted to make sure Sam saw that because I do feel like it's a nice background for a lot of the things we have watched on this podcast. If we get tired talking about ourselves, we have that documentary to fall back on.
Talk about that. Well, then we'll watch it again someday. In several years, we'll watch it again.
Yeah, I don't know that predicting anymore is in our wheelhouse because looking back over old episodes early on, there's so many times we say, oh, yeah, in 2 or 3 years when we're caught up, or, oh, yeah, in 4 years when we're caught up, or, oh, yeah, we'll talk about that again in a couple years.
We're not even in the 90s yet.
We're not even in the 90s.
And there's so many decades after the 90s that have happened.
And we have very little insight, surprisingly, into what we'll be watching throughout the 90s because I don't know what all is still out there and available to watch, but I also don't know a ton about this post-Jim period and what it's going to look like for us as far as the number of things that are actually there starring the Muppets to watch. Like, I don't know if we're going to quickly get from one season of Sesame Street to the next because the Muppets do 2 things in between that. Besides Muppet Babies, I guess, which still does go on for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just wanted to sort of check in with you, Sam, and see if you had, standout moments, favorite guests, things that have happened over the past 200 episodes that you look back on and are like, wow, we did that. That's cool. And this isn't a quiz. I'm not asking you to list them in this moment. We'll talk through them.
Okay. I'm pulling up our Apple the podcast list. So
I saw a panic in your eyes as soon as I said, Sam, what did you like about this? But yeah, this will also be not only the 200th episode, but also the last episode of 2025. Because after this, we'll take a couple weeks off for a holiday break. So Sam can rest his editing fingers and we can rest our throats. So we come back in 2026 with more dulcet tones for you all. But I felt like 200 episodes is an achievement, is worth celebrating.
Yeah.
I know we always, we call out when we hit another year. We'll have a 5-year, episode in March next year. But also, anyone can hit 5 years. You could do 1 episode a year.
Yes, exactly.
And hit 5 years of doing something and still just have, we did 5 episodes.
You could do 1 episode and say, my show's been around for 5 years.
Yeah, I technically never canceled it. But we have done 200 episodes. on a, I would say, pretty regular schedule. Like,
I'm trying.
I said pretty regular.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been breaks.
Sometimes our episodes are so long.
Yeah. I did also want this to be a little bit of a, Kermit wrapped 2025 wrapped, to steal from Spotify. And in that, we actually, as podcasters, get a thing from Spotify that is like a Spotify wrapped for you, the podcaster, to talk about what your listeners did this year. And my favorite part of that is I think we won an award sort of thing. It's not an actual award. They just like present it as if you've won an award in the little wrapped thing. That is basically saying you have a long ass podcast.
Yeah, I think we're in. Yeah, what was it called?
It's a 2025 marathon show.
That's right.
Fans listened to you for longer than 98% of other shows.
Isn't that crazy? That's so crazy.
I think it is crazy because I know it's because we make really long episodes.
Yeah.
And it also reminds me of how many podcasts are actually out there in the world that have like probably 7 listeners.
Yeah.
And like, no offense to them, but there's just so many podcasts. And it's so easy to make a podcast like exist.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of podcasts that existed at one time and just don't exist anymore. So the entire swath of podcasts on Spotify is large. But yeah, we apparently had longer listens than 98% of other podcasts.
But yeah, that, and knowing how many listeners we have, like extrapolating out how many listeners other podcasts must not have, that was like, whoa, what the heck?
Yeah, and like most podcasts aren't the length of our podcast, Sam.
That's right.
Like it's like us and Joe Rogan are the ones making podcasts this long.
We need a guy like he's got, a Jimmy or whatever.
Oh, I was like, I don't want anything he's got.
No. But only one thing of that show I would want, and that's a Jimmy or whatever that guy's name is.
We need a guy who, well, the problem is I'm just going to say Jimmy because I don't know if that's his actual name.
Yeah.
But the problem is he's there sometimes to fact check Joe Rogan.
That's true.
Which sometimes Joe Rogan will just say, no, that fact is wrong. But I don't know that we would benefit from being fact checked in real time.
We might lose some of our special something.
But I might nominate, if we needed a Jimmy.
Yeah.
I think Shane Keating would be our Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he already knows everything. He wouldn't even have to Google it.
He wouldn't have to look at Muppet-y or anything like that.
It's just in his brain. He would just plug his USB into his forehead and be like, bloop, here you go.
That's right.
Well, all my info.
There's a lot of people who could be our Jimmy who know way more than we do, who would get mad at us.
But we know this one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We've had to make surprisingly few corrections and apologies and stuff like that, I feel like, though, right?
I don't know if we made any apologies.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Maybe we should have, but I know we made a couple corrections.
Yeah.
But I feel like they've been pretty small.
Yeah,
like we never said, oh yeah, Frank Oz was in prison for 12 years and been like, oh, we got that really wrong. It turns out he was never in prison.
He was only in prison. He got off for good behavior. He only
that was just him filming.
6 months.
That was when he was filming Blues Brothers. Actually, I was confused. I thought that was a documentary.
They had to rewrite the beginning of that movie because Frank was in prison. So they're like, well, I guess one of our guys has to also be in prison.
Yeah, when he plays the Swedish Chef, they actually have to CGI out his knuckle tats and all his prison tattoos. Absolutely. Otherwise, you would see. Yeah, it's like Mr. Rogers rumors.
Are there rumors that he's covered in tattoos?
Have you not heard that before?
No.
I feel like that was like playground stuff when I was a kid. It was like, okay, we got Marilyn Manson's ribs, Richard Gere gerbil, Mr. Rogers tattoos.
I've heard of those other two.
Yeah, it was
the Mr. Rogers tattoo one.
It was Mr. Rogers was a Marine sniper or something, was this rumor?
Oh, yeah, I have heard that.
And then he had like a bunch of army tattoos, which is why he wore the sweaters.
The sniper thing unlocked it for me. Is this true?
Yeah. I don't think any of it's true.
Okay.
I think maybe he was in the military because he was of an age where everyone was just in the military for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was a sniper or had the tattoos. And this is a prime example of when we could use a Jimmy.
We need Jimmy. Somebody should make a movie about
they
like
have.
No. Listen to me. Hear me out here. It's like John Wick movie, but instead of he's a retired assassin, but he's a children's show host. And then he takes his sweater off. He's got the tattoos all over him. And he's like, I used to be a sniper. You kidnapped my producer. I'm coming after you. You kidnapped Jimmy.
Or Mr. McFeely.
Yeah, that would be a good show, right? and he could have like one of the puppets could like come with him on the adventure too. And be like,
ooh.
Yeah.
Would it be like a sentient puppet?
I think in
or
this
is it
world,
like him crazy talking to his own puppet?
It's left unclear.
Okay.
It's left unclear.
So it's kind of like John Wick meets Kidding, the Jim Carrey show.
That's right.
All right.
Exactly.
Well,
I think that's a good idea.
Here first.
And how many good ideas have I had on this show? Did you count those?
I didn't count that.
Damn.
I didn't necessarily go back, one, to count the times you've said you've had good ideas, or two, to judge whether or not I think that's rude. Good ideas.
Don't say stuff like that.
You just said that.
I think it was a good idea. I think all my ideas are pretty good. I could be something if I really applied myself.
What are you missing? What's it going to take? Where's the edge that we need to push you over?
I'm so tired. And I need to be independently wealthy so I don't have to work. I think that's the main thing I blame.
Maybe you have to like invent something weird and random that just sort of takes off.
I could sell pictures of my feet.
Well, it's not quite an invention.
Would you be mad at me if I started doing that? I would do it anonymously. I wouldn't drag our name into it.
I don't. The problem is, Sam, you're going to make less money if you do it anonymously.
Oh, shit. You're right.
If you do it as Sam Schultz, you're going to get some more people.
There's a little bit of a built-in audience there. That's right.
Like, I'm not asking them to reply and say, yes, I would.
Yeah.
But I bet just the odds are that
I would hope somebody would just do it to help me out and not for any other
they're not looking. They're not opening the link.
Yeah.
It's like the people who support on Patreon, but like don't come to our live streams. I'm like,
that's right.
All right, thanks for the support.
That's right.
This is thanks for the support, but don't look at my feet.
I have a tier where you pay for it, and I don't send you the foot pictures.
That costs more.
I have a web virus that sends everybody the foot pictures in the whole world.
You have to pay to not see Sam Schultz's feet.
To not get them every day, and they're nice. They're not gross. I have good feet. But
that's sort of what Danny DeVito was doing there for a while. I don't know if he still does, but on his Twitter account, he used to just post pictures of his feet with something like #goblin feet, I think he would say.
Seen that
goblin
before,
toes, goblin feet.
And I've been sending him money every month to get him to stop.
Has it worked so far?
No. He's not a man of his word. He's like he's like his character from Matilda. Nobody tells you that.
One of my favorite things that randomly popped up recently in my feed, and this is a huge tangent, but it does involve Danny DeVito, so it's slightly related, was Jared Harris, star of Mad Men and many other things, on a podcast talking about when he was beginning acting. He was being praised for being able to like disappear into roles, and no one was able to even like know he was in that movie because he was so good and could disappear into things. And then he had a conversation with Danny DeVito, who Danny DeVito was like, "Dude, you're fucked." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You're too like normal and average, and you can disappear into roles. You got to be like a weirdo guy that like everyone knows. That's got to be Danny DeVito."
I knew that's where you're going with that, because I was thinking like, there's been so many movies I've seen where Danny DeVito's been in it, and I've been like, why? But then by the end of the movie, you're like, all right, I get it. But we just watched Get Shorty. We just watched Get Shorty, and he's playing like a Tom Cruise type character in that. And it's just like, what? But he's great in it. But
I do love the era where, and no offense to Danny DeVito, they were like using him like a leading man, like cool guy.
Right.
And that's a fun era because he had like a time before that era where he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Taxi. And he's not playing the cool leading man.
Right.
And then for a while in the 90s, they were like, he's kind of cool. Maybe we could make him cool.
He is pretty cool. I think they did a good job.
I feel like he is, I don't know the cultural cachet of Danny DeVito these days. Like, do kids know Danny DeVito? But for us, he was in everything we would see like as a child in the 90s.
I think that kids still know him. He's on the Jimmy John's commercials.
No, he's on the other one, Jersey Mike's.
Oh, he's on the Jersey Mike's.
His little sandwich vacuum.
I'm so sorry. Sorry to Jersey Mike's. You are not Jimmy John's.
And I don't know if kids would like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia if they're like, oh yeah, that's my dad's favorite show.
That's disturbing. When did that show start?
When we were in high school, I think.
I do think like when Hercules came out, 1997, I feel like that was like one of the first times I was like, oh, Danny DeVito.
Well, and they like to make his characters look like him a little bit. Like he's got Hercules, he's got Swackhammer and Space Jam.
Swackhammer, yeah, right.
Oh, but
Anyway.
Yeah, enough about Danny DeVito. Maybe we'll come back to him later. Some other things I wanted to highlight from our Spotify Wrapped is that it says we're the #1 show for 184 people.
Oh, well, yeah.
Which was a nice little thing to know that there are 184 people out there that listen to us more than they listen to any other podcast.
Yeah. The Wrapped this year made my heart warm for sure.
Yeah, sometimes you look at it and you're like, oh, of course, our most popular episode was with Hank Green.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's not that surprising. But seeing, what episode got the most comments, which was the D&D episode.
I know, I got to make another one.
Well, I guess we could say it here that you are making
we have one recorded.
Yeah. It will be a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you're on our Patreon, supporting us there, hanging out in the Discord, you'll be the first to know when that second D&D episode is coming out.
Yeah.
But the second one and any future ones will be Patreon exclusive.
Just add another full-time job to my life, basically.
But I was curious because they show in the Spotify Wrapped sort of like what else people listen to besides our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious if any of it was surprising to you, because the top musical artist were Taylor Swift and the Beatles, which,
I think it's been like that in years past as well.
I feel like those are probably just like
the world.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like on average, that's probably just two of the most popular artists for anyone.
Everybody's Spotify Wrap says that.
Taylor Swift was my top artist this year, so that's true of me.
Do you know
the Beatles didn't make the top 5?
And this is not for any particular reason. I've never purposefully clicked on and played a Taylor Swift track.
You and Hank have this in common. Hank claims to not know any Taylor Swift songs. And so maybe
Shazam songs and I'm like, oh, this is what Taylor Swift sounds like. But then she sounds different a lot, right? Is that true? Okay. Okay.
I now, which, yes, of course, neither of you have time for this. I want you and Hank to have a song-by-song Taylor Swift podcast.
Yeah, are you talking you two to me or whatever?
Yeah. Are you talking you two to me?
Shit, that's a really fucking good idea, Matt, because maybe Taylor Swift would be on it eventually. Hank is kind and has met her indirectly through his brother, right?
Yeah, that's how that works. You meet people indirectly through your brothers.
I know everybody. I know everybody Wilbur talks to. Yeah, I can see through his eyes if I concentrate hard enough.
The other one, John, has met her, and at one concert, she said that John Green was her favorite author from the stage.
Oh, I'm gonna
when she was performing in Indianapolis.
This is a good idea. You can be our Jimmy on it because you know everything about Taylor Swift.
I know a medium amount about Taylor Swift, but I'm definitely not as skilled. You know who you actually should bring in?
Who?
Deboki Chakravarti.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Hank's expert on other things for other podcasts, but also is an expert in Taylor Swift.
Untapped Taylor Swift expertise. I'm right.
So you heard it here first. I'm sure we'll think of a good name later on, but right now we don't have one.
Yes, and also I'll tell him this idea, and then he'll say, "Great, I want to do it with somebody more famous." Okay.
Yeah, Brendan Lee Mulligan actually has never heard a Taylor Swift song either, so we're gonna do that together.
Sam,
you want to be our Jimmy?
I couldn't even be Jimmy. I don't know anything about her.
Do you know who she's engaged to?
Travis Kelce.
Hey, there we go.
I do know that.
Well, speaking of those Green brothers, we also get a report on the top audiobooks that people listen to, I guess, obviously just on Spotify, that also listen to our podcast. And number 1 was Everything is Tuberculosis.
Yep.
And then number 2 was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green.
Yep. We are one of those little things that hang on sharks. That's us.
The little suckerfish things.
Remoras or something like that. Yeah.
We are riding the coattails.
We're drafting in their current. And that's fine with me. It's a comfortable place to be.
It's funny, too, because, for Hank, I think Hank could be like, oh, hey, those are my remoras. I know those guys. John's like, what's on me?
Yeah.
What's this podcast?
He'd look at us and clean his glasses and put them back on and be like, no, I don't know who you are. Taylor, get these guys out of here. And then she would usher us away.
There's a couple audiobooks on this list that I'm less familiar with. One is The House of My Mother by Sherry Frank, or Frankie. Sorry, don't know how to pronounce that. Number 4 was Emily Henry's Great Big Beautiful Life, which I have not read, but I know my wife has. And then Street Gang by Michael Davis, the Sesame Street book, which I have read that one.
For sure.
That's the one I'm like, why is Brian J. Jones not on here? People should be reading the Jim Henson biography along with this podcast.
What other podcasts do people listen to?
Oh, well, that also won't surprise you terribly, Sam. The number one podcast that people also listen to was SciShow Tangents, your other podcast.
That doesn't post new episodes anymore, which is nice.
Yes.
That's great.
But also the second place was Dear Hank and John.
Makes sense.
But number 3 was My Brother, and Me.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we could get one of those guys at some point on here.
I think you're probably right about that.
I just don't know which one of them cares the most about the Muppets. So I don't know where to shoot our shot. Yeah, we'll see.
Last Podcast on the Left is the 4th one, which I think has been on our list previously. So there's somebody else who's like a super fan of both of these. But is that a true crime podcast?
The full description says on their quick little Google one that they cover all the horrors of our world has to offer, both imagined and real. So I think they're talking about movies and maybe real life murders as well.
Yeah, I think there's a book that they published that I've looked at the bookstore and thought, this is quite grisly.
I mean, yeah, one, the movie that podcast name is based on is a very grisly
famously
movie.
Quite grisly.
That's the undersell of the year. But I think they talk about, everything creepy, essentially, including movies, cryptids, etc.
That's a wide range of interest for this person, these people who like this podcast and ours. But then the last one I think is kind of an honor, is Blank Check with Griffin and David. And that's all right. I like that. That
one feels maybe the most similar to ours out of this list of 5 other podcasts.
Right. Because we're doing hundreds and hundreds of episodes long Blank Check series about Jim Henson, basically.
Yes. Whereas, last Podcast on the Left, I don't think they tackle media in quite the same way.
No.
And then the other ones are brothers talking.
Yeah. And all all of my murders won't come to light until after my death. I've made sure that
of that. But you kept thorough notes. Yes. So everyone will be able to thoroughly recap and understand how you've murdered and when.
Yeah. Then it'll make sense the last Podcast on the Left's on there.
Yeah. That's actually where you listen for tips.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't do that. They got caught.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's another good idea for a movie. Is there a thing where the bad guys listen to true crime podcasts and he's crammed them all? I'm writing that down too.
I mean, that's got to be a little bit. Honestly, maybe the next season of Only Murders in the Building, based on how this one ended.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I got to hurry up and write my movie then.
And who would you get to star? Let's see. Who's the knockoff Steve Martin and Martin Short? Eugene Levy and Rick Moranis.
Oh, I'm getting old guys. And they're evil old guys. It's like just a reverse of that.
Yeah. You're making
that's a pretty good idea.
A season of Only Murders in the Building, but not officially.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like you're making a movie that feels a lot like Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
But
like Martin
legally
Short's
distinct.
Wario. I feel like Martin Short's Wario is like Billy Crystal. You think?
I think Martin Short is Billy Crystal's Wario.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think
Billy Crystal's
he's like the normal guy, and then Martin Short like butted out of him one day.
Oh
and
man,
started running amok.
I knew we'd bring it back to Danny DeVito.
Uh-huh.
If they had made another Super Mario Brothers movie in the 90s.
Yes, yeah.
Danny DeVito playing Bob Hoskins' Wario.
That would be really perfect.
I love that so much.
That would be really good. I can picture it so perfectly.
Sam, the problem is my brain now cannot move on.
Matt, we have to.
From thinking about who would be John Leguizamo's Waluigi.
Oh. Does that have to be a period appropriate person? Probably.
Yes. I'm thinking if you made Super Mario Brothers the movie 2 in the mid-90s and you get Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo return, and then you announce Danny DeVito is Wario.
Yeah.
Who is the obnoxious, evil, maybe Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
If you take his Eggman persona, time travel him back to the 90s, you got yourself a Waluigi.
Oh, I'm looking at a picture of them, and I think with that you're just exactly right. They're on the red carpet, and Jim's arms around Danny, and they just look they look like a drawing of Wario and Waluigi. I think this is perfect casting.
Well, I did pull a couple stats that we could talk about for this podcast because
oh my
obviously...
God, guess what I just found? Photoshop, where somebody photoshopped Danny DeVito and Jim Carrey into Wario and Waluigi on a poster for Super Mario Brothers, the movie too.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking at this now too. Man, I'm glad I didn't spend my time doing that because I would have.
Oh, there's multiple of these.
Wow. Also. Okay. So clearly it's the right answer.
This idea is in the, parallel thinking.
Break out the time machine.
Yeah, maybe you did make this graphic like in the future and sent it back in time. It's the only thing that keeps this timeline stable.
Well, enough about Danny DeVito for now. I'm sure, he'll make his way back at some point. I wanted to drop some numbers on you because not only have we hit 200 episodes, but we're also at 29 total guests on this podcast now. And looking back over the guest list we've had, I am still sort of shocked at some of the people we've gotten to be on this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Brian J. Jones, author of the Jim Henson biography, was in episode 17 of this podcast. He was our first guest.
That's a big get for us. We were nobodies.
And we have, a few guests still coming up, early 2026, some returning guests, maybe a new guest. So, guest episodes probably feel different to some people. I think we've had one complaint ever about...
That's surprising.
Yeah, but I enjoy having guests on, not only because we get to learn, what they know about Muppets, especially when there's somebody who's worked firsthand with Muppet productions, but also I just like talking about the Muppets with people.
Was our complaint how disgusting we got on the Muppet Family Christmas episode with...
Okay, so maybe we've had two complaints.
Okay.
I think the disgusting Muppet Family Christmas episode is not necessarily about a guest complaint. We got one email ever who was like, hey guys, tone it down with the guests. I like you two.
Okay.
And I'm like,
that's cute.
It's a nice compliment, but also, sorry, we actually have more guests than ever this year.
Yeah. But Mike Falzone just brought out something in us. He unlocked an evil element to our personalities for the most wholesome piece of content that we've watched.
And I think part of that is also how quickly the wholesomeness goes away in that episode. If you listen to it, it's like in the first 15 minutes, there's snowman sex and having sex with puddles and all this stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, like we didn't even warm up to the gross things. We just dove right in. Yeah. But I had a good time.
I had a great time.
But yeah, we've had a nice handful of people who have worked directly with Jim Henson in the past, like Sujith Varghese, Richard Termini, Craig Shemin. So yeah, there's a handful of people who have shared stories of working with Jim that have been very nice to hear. We've had our friends on, like Catherine Green.
Mm-hmm.
We've had other podcasters and comedians on who I would have never gotten to have a conversation with Erica Ishii probably without this podcast. That was fun.
I love those ones with the top of the episode interviews with people doing the script readings. I think those are awesome.
But I wanted to ask you sort of if you had guest moments that really stood out to you or specific guests where you were like, that conversation changed the way I think about Muppets.
I think the conversation we had with Richard Termini, I basically was crying during. I'd have to go back and listen to it to like identify what was so moving about it, but I think just like the Sesame Street has so much, like the people who work on it seem like there's so much like joy associated with working on that show, and yeah, just him like being there observing it and telling us about that was great. I love having Sujith on too. I think his stories about working with not Billy Crystal, Jerry Jewell. Jerry Jewell.
Are you trying to get the words Jim Henson?
Billy Crystal and Jerry Jewell could be like two characters in a cartoon about people who are made out of precious stones,
like Care Bears with like gems in their stomach or something, like trolls.
Jerry Jewell. Those stories, I think, like those feel so valuable, and he like wrote these characters. That's so like we're talking to the brain that like canon pieces of dialogue and like events came out of. And he's also so nice and like so generous with his time with us, and so like transparent about, I don't know, just like talking about his process and frustrations and stuff like that. I think those stand out as like my favorite conversations. Those like behind the scenes people. I love those. And the conversation with Jeff Yorks that we had was really good too. Just like hearing his like like Forrest Gumpian life of like, and I was there and I knew this person and I was also there and I knew this person. I think seeing the dots connect of how everybody ended up where they were is like the most fascinating thing to me. And the thing that I like about the podcast in general is like Jim did this and then he did this. And then 15 years later, he was like, finally, I can do that. I love that kind of connecting the dots. And then I love to hear people's like journeys too. And then I accidentally found myself on the Fraggle Rock set writing Fraggle Rock, and I don't know how it happened. And then how those stories end with like, and then it was over, and my life has never felt the same since.
Yeah, that part's interesting that we've seen that a couple times.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I feel like we've had both sides of the coin where Richard Termini continues to work and photograph puppets and Sesame Street and things. And then you have, like Sujith Varghese and David Mish, who were both like, my time with the Muppets ended and I went on to do other things.
Right.
But like they both look back on that time as very special and meaningful and not just like another gig.
Yeah, totally. Even David Mish, like at the beginning of our interview with him, he's like, oh yeah, I didn't really like the Muppets. It was just another job. And then at the end, he's like, and Jim was so nice and great. And then I was done. And then I never really talked to him again. And it's like, oh, you loved doing this. Like, obviously, it's such a magical world.
Well, and I think, recently we watched An Evening with Jim Henson and Frank Oz, and we talked about how in that intro-outro segment, Frank Oz tries to like push all this credit away from himself. And it's just like, don't think about me. It's the other people. And I think that's something that we have seen from Richard Termini and Sujith and anybody else we've talked to. Like, it was this sort of family dynamic, this group of people who were very aware that while Jim Henson was the figurehead, it was the Jerry Jules of the world and other people around who were, manning the ship, I guess, to make it go. And I think that's something, Richard Termini was the same way. He was pushing away all the credit that we were trying to give him for all the amazing things he had done. And, these photos that we look at and we're like, wow, that amazing photo of Jim Henson.
Yeah, we only know and see this world through you.
Yeah. And similar with Ryan Dillon. We had Ryan Dillon on, who is Elmo currently and is still, anytime now we're like watching the Thanksgiving Day parade, I'm like, I talked to that guy.
Well, you know that guy. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But I also love the conversations we get to have with, I think there's like a category of Muppet fan who is maybe not always a public Muppet fan. Like they're a comedian, a creator in some way, but the majority of the stuff they do online has nothing to do with Muppets. And so letting them come on here and just nerd out for 45 minutes about Muppets and how much they love them also brings me a lot of joy. Like I know Elise Willems is somebody who has had a lot of public Muppet fandom moments, but I think there's something about just sitting down and saying, hey, you get to talk about Muppets for the next hour. Let's have fun.
Yeah. Like talking to Catherine Green years ago, however long ago that was.
It does feel like a very long time ago.
Yeah. About Emmett Otter, which is like, I don't know, something that she loves and maybe has talked about publicly or like on Delete This or something. But yeah, you're right. Just like unlocking that. And I think I was talking to somebody about this last night. It's like Muppets are like, it's such an interesting fandom because there are those super fans, but at the same time, it's also like Mickey Mouse or Mario or something like that, where it's like everybody knows them, everybody likes them to some degree, really. Like it is one of the most well-known brands on planet Earth. And yeah, that makes the fandom kind of interesting because it's like, I don't know, there's not like Mickey Mouse podcasts. There probably are, but there
probably are.
There probably are. And like Mario, but it's just different. It's like a different stratosphere of popular. And it is something that like almost everybody, you can unlock some kind of beautiful memory about the Muppets in them, or like sitting in front of the TV watching it, that nobody ever, like people don't think to talk about that much because it is like, oh yeah, that's Kermit the Frog. Like everybody likes Kermit the Frog and Big Bird and stuff like that. But yeah, everybody just like, there's only heartwarming stuff about the Muppets basically, and that's nice.
Yeah, which is why it's always interesting when you do run across people who have, an incorrect version of history when it comes to either Jim Henson's death or various, things that happened amongst the Muppet folks. And they like try to add this salacious, cynical layer to things. That's like, you're trying real hard, but I don't think it's there.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some stuff like he was not a perfect person. But,
no, not at all. Yeah, I think, you're right. On the flip side of that, we shouldn't just hold him up on a pedestal as a perfect human who made no mistakes, I think.
Right. But like, speaking of kidding, like that show Kidding, it is kind of like, he must have been crazy because he liked all these puppets, and he makes a kid show. So like his inner life must be twisted somehow. That's such a weird, like, common trope in our society that people want to like put that.
Speaking of Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Death to Smoochie.
Death to Smoochie. Yeah, exactly.
A movie I loved and probably doesn't hold up at all.
It sucks so bad. Yeah, I just watched it recently. It's really bad.
I liked that a lot when it came out, which I was like in junior high or high school when I first watched that movie. And I liked it because I was, Robin Williams fan and everything. But I can't imagine that holds up very well.
He's not in it enough is one thing.
Robin Williams. Yeah, it is an Ed Norton vehicle.
Yeah. And it's boring. I just thought it was boring. It's it's like feels very long. Who was your favorite guest or favorite guest moments?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've talked about it a little bit, but I think Richard Termini is definitely still one of my favorite guests. And I hope nobody else is offended at hearing me say that. But I do think
I mean, he's a living legend.
Well, and just like you said about Sujith, so, gracious with his time and generous. And I even had a phone call with Richard afterwards later on to talk a bit about, because I was going to New York for the Muppet thing. So I called him and just talked to him a little bit about going to New York. And we talked a little bit about his time on the podcast. And he was just lovely to chat with again. And so as much as I love having our friends like Nick on the podcast all the time, having the opportunity to talk to someone like Richard Termini is really special.
Yeah. And thank you for always putting those things together too, Matt. You are the driving force behind all that.
Oh, I mean, if they exist in the Muppet universe, I have probably emailed somebody who knows them at some point to try and get them on this podcast. So trust me when I say, if there's somebody you want to hear on this podcast, I have probably already reached out to them, and they've either said no, they've said nothing, or they've said yes, maybe in the future.
Yeah.
So there are some irons in the fire, I think, that could be really exciting, but I don't want to tease anything too much because they could just as easily not happen. But I also wanted to highlight some guests we've had on this podcast that I think are sort of, representative of a larger thing that has happened over the past 200 episodes, which is sort of the Tough Pigs and online Muppet fandom, other Muppet podcaster people who have thankfully embraced us as a part of them. We started this podcast knowing that there was a Muppet fandom, knowing that toughpigs.com existed, but having no connection to that world, having no relationship with the people doing any of these things. So, if we had done a bad job with this podcast early on, it would have been very easy for them to look at us as like these weird outsiders who they could have been like, hey, yeah, we don't necessarily recommend this Muppet podcast. So just to see that not only has the Tough Pigs community sort of embraced us, but also the larger online Muppet fandom community, we're in this really weird space where Tough Pigs does a lot of different podcasts pretty consistently, but we are kind of the other Muppet podcast, like that's going consistently outside of the Tough Pigs, because Muppeturgy is still going, but is wrapping up their Muppet sort of phase. And there's other Muppet podcasts out there that upload like more inconsistently or have stopped a couple of years ago or something like that. And so it is very weird to stop and think sometimes of like, oh, we're sort of the other Muppet podcast right now.
Yeah, it is weird.
And we're doing a weird ass thing that maybe nobody actually asked for ever.
It's important. We're like the library or something. You can go find You could be like, I'd love to learn more about Muppet Family Christmas, and click on it and be like,
oh no,
oh dear Lord. Or like the library where somebody went through and ripped out some pages and like drew dirty pictures on all of the
We're
books.
like the library, but everything's just the Mad Magazine version of the original.
Right. Yeah. That's right. And every one of them has like a fold out in the middle, like Playboy too, but it's always Miss Piggy.
I'll subscribe right now to this
that
magazine.
Pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, I think specifically, obviously, people like Joe Hennis, who runs Tough Pigs, has been very kind to come on the podcast and talk about Little Muppet Monsters, which was nice because that was a thing that he hadn't seen either. And I think we've talked about this before, but it's interesting that there is this huge devoted online Muppet fandom who has not consumed content in the same way we have. And so their knowledge is much broader than ours. They know a lot about post-gym time that we don't know yet. But we've also watched a lot of things that no one else really ever bothers watching.
Yeah.
Whether it's Muppet Babies episodes or whether
like
it's
a 25-second clip of Jim like staring at a camera in an interview room.
Yeah, I mean, or even things like some of the Tinker D specials or Muppet Musicians of Bremen. There are things that I think we talked about a little bit with Becca Petunia, where there are these sort of blind spots that some Muppet fans who are the biggest Muppet fans just have never seen.
Yeah.
And the only reason we've seen them is because we are doing this podcast in the format that we are doing it in.
Yeah. The Becca Petunia one was really, I loved Joe. That Joe conversation was so fun. Partially, I think, because Little Muppet Monsters is completely unhinged and wild to talk about. But the Becca one was so fun also because that was like, we had a Jimmy in that one because we were so
she was able to be like,
she was just like, no.
Actually, here's all the things that you got wrong.
Yeah, but like in a really fun way. I like that. And Sesame Street is like so dense. And that is like, as we've talked about behind the scenes a bunch of times, like that's our blind spot. And so having somebody who could weigh in and like fill in the gaps on something like that was great.
Yeah, which I will also tease that we're kicking around ideas for ways to sort of rectify some of that and watch some more Sesame Street in small batches for some Patreon bonus episodes. Yeah. So I don't know when those are going to start, but we have ideas for partially, I think it's for ourselves because we like Sesame Street a lot.
And it won't feel right if we don't watch all the Muppet stuff from Sesame Street. I can't die with that on my mind.
Well, I think that's honestly one of the first questions a lot of people ask when it is revealed that we have a Muppet podcast. And we tell them the concept is that we're watching everything Jim Henson and the Muppets ever did. They're like, wow, even Sesame Street? And we have to be like, well, no, kind of, not really.
Yeah.
There's 5,000 episodes. Don't make us watch them all.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but people are visibly disappointed.
Yeah, I think that like there's a certain layer where that wouldn't necessarily make them more excited to listen to the podcast, but it does sort of be like, well, you said everything, and you're not watching everything.
Every episode of our show would be about Sesame Street.
Correct.
And we'd still be in like 1982 or something like that.
Yeah, which is why the premise of these bonus episodes would be watching only the new things created for each episode. So there are certain episodes of Sesame Street where there might only be 15, 20 minutes of new stuff in that episode. So we wouldn't watch the full hour and a half long Sesame Street episode.
Yeah.
We would only watch the 20 minutes of new stuff. So that way we wouldn't have to watch 5,000 hours of television.
But we would know our alphabet really well if we did that.
Yeah, that's the thing is we're not going to get the drilled into our head effect of seeing the pinball animation 5,000 times.
Yeah.
We're going to see it once and then we're going to move on.
Like Matt's letter of the week. Today's letter of the week is T.
I mean, honestly, I'm more excited to see Orange Oscar more than once.
Yeah,
I think we've only watched ever one season 1 episode, maybe.
And he made an appearance on a TV show, a guest star. It was in the Carol Spinney documentary a couple times. It didn't show Orange. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. We haven't seen a lot of Orange Oscar.
But occasionally I'll see clips of like Orange Oscar with Gordon or Big Bird or something like that, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I haven't seen this Orange Oscar because we did only watch one season 1 episode when we did our crazy 10 years of Sesame Street episode.
Yeah. Orange Oscar sounds like a drink that British people would drink. Like their most famous brand of orange juice is called Orange Oscar, and as everybody knows that.
It's like, oh, you order an Orange Oscar? You're like, I don't know what that is. It's like, well, you have to order it though.
So sorry. Yeah.
That was earlier when I said the words John Leguizamo's Waluigi. I was like, that's something. Just those words together are too beautiful.
Yeah, it does flow nicely. It sounds like you're speaking in a foreign language.
It's like his line of wine or something. Oh, yes. Enjoy a nice bottle of John Leguizamo's Waluigi.
It is a beautiful name. Waluigi. And John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
But Waluigi really just kind of comes out.
I think the problem is John Leguizamo would be the best Waluigi.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking too. It was like, can't we just pick John? Can't we just pick him?
Yeah, they got, use the technology.
Yeah.
Just mirror him.
And it would be fun to see Bob Hoskins being a little evil guy too.
That's true. I still kind of want Dan DeVito in that role though.
Yeah, right. I could see Dan DeVito just like pushing John Hoskins over. Just being like, throwing a trash can at him,
But speaking of guests, not only have we, had amazing guests on this podcast, we've been guests on other Muppet podcasts like Muppet-y and Tough Pigs podcasts. But we also got to be guests 4 times by the time you're hearing this on O.J. Borg's BBC Radio 2 show for their Midnight Mastermind segment, quizzing him on Muppet Christmas Carol.
That, to me, I think when I tell other people that, they're just like, okay, but that we're on BBC, that we've been on for 4 years on BBC is so like great and stupid in a great way, where it's like everybody in England, all 150 of them, they heard us. That's like it's so touching to me when they reach out and want us to be back.
That's the part that I feel like if you just tell, I think, Americans that we were on BBC Radio 2 4 years in a row, they had us come on and quiz their DJ about this, that sounds cool. I think if we just told English people that we were on Midnight Mastermind, they would say, yes, anyone can call in and be a guest on that.
Wait, is that true?
So they have it, but you can be a call-in guest. So sometimes it is people who just call in and they have an interesting trivia question.
So I could call OJ any old time I wanted to?
I mean, yeah, you may have to be up at a weird hour, but they do have other people who are like call-in guests who are asking trivia questions sometimes. And I'm sure they're booking them in advance. They're scheduling all this stuff. But I don't know how often they have repeat guests. I'm not listening to Midnight Mastermind every day. I apologize, OJ. Yeah. But we have been asked back a few times now, which does feel special.
Yeah. And to be you go in like the little digital green room and you can hear the Christmas music playing, and it's like that honestly to me is like the most Christmassy that I feel like the whole Christmas season. It's just like, I don't know,
when he's like, what Christmas song should I play next, guys? And we're like, ooh, we get to choose what they're gonna play on the radio.
He at least gives us a couple choices usually.
Yes, it's not like any Christmas song. He's like, I'm gonna play one of these 2 songs. Which one do you think I should pick?
Yeah.
And yeah, honestly, part of one of my favorite parts of that tradition is the part that nobody gets to hear, where we have, once that song starts playing, we just get to talk to OJ for a few minutes about the Muppets.
Like, so great, guys. Thanks. It's awesome. And he made that documentary we got to watch.
Listen to. It's a radio documentary.
We made that. That's right. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a BBC radio documentary about the Muppet Christmas Carol. And I actually believe this year, for the 70th anniversary, the BBC is producing another Muppet audio documentary, because I say I believe so, but I know so because Brian J. Jones posted about the fact that he was interviewed for it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm not sure when that is coming out or if it's already out at this point. I don't believe so, but they are releasing a documentary about the Muppets as well.
We got to talk to more British people about the Muppets, I think.
British people, if you're out there, we apologize for Sam's insults.
I'm just
but
kidding.
If there are only 150 of you, it might be easy to have you on the podcast.
Yeah. We could have all of you. I mean, if we started at episode 1 having a British person on every episode, we'd be done by now. We'd have run out.
We've had one. We had Lindsay Kelk.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And we had Jared Fairclough, which I feel like is close.
Yeah. It is adjacent. It's right.
Yeah. I'm sure he wouldn't agree.
We are also adjacent, I think.
Yeah.
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 I want to be the guest on more podcasts, though. That's my goal for the next. That's my New Year's resolution for commitment.
I don't think that's going to make you less tired, Sam.
No, it's fun though. But something will make me less tired someday. I got to keep doing stuff hard. It's got to get harder and harder and harder, and then eventually somebody will say, "That'll do, pig." I can just be like, "Okay, thank you." Float me out to sea. Shoot the flaming arrow at me. I'm done. I finally have made my dreams come true. Just like Kermit, it got worse and worse and worse for Kermit in the Muppet movie. Then the ceiling exploded, and then God said, "Stop. Just don't do this anymore." And Kermit said, "Okay, I'm done." But yeah, I want to be on Doughboys. I want to be on What's All That? What's All This then? Is that one?
Oh, yeah.
They're
we
British.
Can make that one happen.
They're British.
Well, and the Muppets were in England for a while.
Yeah.
Or we could talk about Great Muppet Caper.
Yeah.
Like, there's enough Muppet and England connections.
Absolutely. They're called dumb politicians. They're Muppets. So we got to figure out what that's all about too.
Yeah, I feel like we asked Lindsay Kelk, and while she did give us a good answer,
yeah,
I think we wanted more dirt, but it really just is. I think the word Muppet is just used very differently.
I don't think American people could ever get sick of hearing about how they use the word Muppet in England. At least I can't. It's always so delightful.
Well, and they use it in Formula One from time to time.
Oh, okay.
Like drivers will call other drivers Muppets.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of fun.
Like if I called somebody a Muppet, they would say, "Thank you."
Which one?
Yeah, thank you. That's so nice. But if a British person call you that, you'd be like, "You take that back." But I don't know why, really.
There was a time where one of the teams was doing a thing where anyone who lost their ID badge, like in the pits, if it was found, they would replace their photo with a Muppet photo.
Oh, like one of the Muppets.
Yes, like you get like a Bert or Ernie or something like that photo on your ID because you are a Muppet for losing your ID card.
They love the Muppets. Why do they? It's so weird. I mean, I guess most of them are fucking idiots, so it makes sense. But most of the Muppets.
Okay.
Not British people. British people.
I hope you're not saying most English people are idiots.
If I said, "Matt, you're being a real New Zealand," you would be mad at me.
Ooh, yeah, that hurts.
That would suck.
I'd have so many follow-up questions of like, what specifically did I do to you?
You're asking them to me as you have a fish grasped in your hand. It's like, what are you talking about? Big circus ruffle around your neck.
Something else we've been lucky enough to do over these last few years is sponsor the local Muppet Christmas Carol screenings at our independent theater here in Missoula, which we're actually doing tonight as we record this, with no plans as of yet of how we're introducing this movie. But we do have to get up on stage and say, "Hey, welcome to the Muppet Christmas Carol."
We'll have to talk about it after the podcast.
Yeah, that'll be an off-mic conversation.
I'll have to find some stuff to give away for trivia.
To be fair, we don't have to do anything. We can just say,
away my hat.
Here's the movie.
I think last year the trivia prizes were the hat that I had and stuff like that.
I think there was some,
Shoot.
But on that topic, we'll be watching Muppet Christmas Carol tonight. Have you yet revisited any Muppet Christmas things this year?
No, I haven't. This Christmas, this December has been very busy for me for some reason. So I haven't had a lot of time to like take a step back and watch any Christmas stuff, I don't think. But no, I tend to watch Muppet Family Christmas and Muppet Christmas Carol. I would like to revisit The Great Santa Claus Switch, I think, too. But
that one just, the audio quality is so bad in the only version that exists online that it's hard to rewatch for fun.
Yeah.
But I also would love to revisit that one.
On the Christmas toy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We have watched both Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Family Christmas already this year.
Mm-hmm.
We need to rewatch Emmett Otter.
That one. There's so many. Yeah.
Definitely need to watch.
All the best Muppet stuff is Christmas stuff for the most part, I feel like.
And if you, I don't know if we had this up by the time we did sort of a Christmassy last episode of the year last year, but if you go to our YouTube page, there is a really, really, really long video on there that is a compilation of all 8 hours of commitment Christmas episodes.
Yeah, baby. Is that the one where you got Rizzo running on the turkey the whole time, too?
Yeah.
That's great.
It's 8 hours of Rizzo going, ooh, ooh, on the turkey from Muppet Christmas Carol. That took so long to export that video. But worth it. And I guess, I don't know if we've done any Christmas stuff since last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
But
I don't think we have.
It might need an update, I guess. But yeah, you can go listen to 8 hours of commitment Christmas episodes that I believe would definitely have the Emmett Otter, Catherine Green episode in there.
I think another something about on the topic of watching Christmas stuff is that I think my wife has a different relationship with the Muppets, or with, like, does Devin like the Muppets?
Devin likes the Muppets.
Okay. And she watches this stuff with you sometimes.
Not that often.
Okay.
But if it's like something that she knows she might be interested in, she will watch it with me. But a lot of times, mostly since having a baby, I'm watching commitment things when I can.
Yeah, right.
So it's like after they've gone to bed, or it's really early in the morning, or like in between during a baby nap. And so priorities are a little different. So we don't have a lot of time where it's like, hey, you want to watch 6 episodes of Muppet Babies with me this week?
Right. Yeah. Because Rachel she doesn't watch stuff with me. and she, I don't know if she loves Muppet Christmas Carol. She doesn't. It's not something she'd seek out to watch.
Right.
So if I'm watching a Christmas thing, I'm probably watching it with her, and it's probably not that.
Right.
So
I will say, yeah, Devin didn't dislike the Muppets before we got married or anything like that.
But she does now. She hates them.
Yeah. No, but she, I don't know that she had seen Muppet Christmas Carol before we started dating.
Oh, interesting.
And so I think some of the Muppet stuff that is more of a classic thing for me, that has become more of a tradition for us to watch together, was not originally something that she would have sought out.
Okay.
But she does enjoy them. She actually was the one who suggested the other day that we watch Muppet Family Christmas. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
If Rachel suggested that, I would assume that somebody had replaced her with a different person.
An alien had taken over her body.
Yeah, something was going horribly wrong. We have a secret code word for if I ever suspect that. So I would ask her for the code word.
It's Tamanella Grinderfall.
If she knew Tamanella Grinderfall, that would trigger me having to ask her the code word.
We did watch something this week.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you if you had anything prepared to say about it.
I did not. No.
Okay, good.
I didn't.
I was afraid to bring it up now to be like, Sam, what do we watch this week? And then you'd be like, yeah, I had a whole thing written out I was going to say, and then you didn't ask me.
I watched it, and I thought, okay. I watched that.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I thought it was.
We're talking about I Am Big Bird, the Carol Spinney documentary.
I Am Big Bird. This is our I did. It's one of those things where I think in a different universe where I didn't do this podcast, I'd watch it and be like, dear Lord, this is so much groundbreaking information. But in this one, I was like, I could have made this documentary. But there was a lot. I loved seeing all the footage of him, of Carol walking around, but it's also like it was great fun to watch. It's fun when a documentary though is like, he's really nice, everybody loves him, which is, I mean, genuinely, it's not a surprise that he's really nice and everybody loves him, but yeah, my favorite part of it was just like seeing him walk around and why do his pants have pockets? Why does the Big Bird orange pants have pockets on the back? What's he doing with those?
Probably got to carry something around, like a mic pack or a phone or something at sometimes.
Oh, a mic pack. That makes sense. That's probably what.
Although his mic, because his mic would be strapped to his chest. So maybe the mic pack needs to be in a pocket or something. But
that really stood out to me was like those pants looked very high quality. Those looked like really nice pants with big purple piping glued onto them.
Yeah, as somebody who has made their own version of those pants that are not nearly as high quality, I'm very jealous of the quality of those Big Bird pants and feet.
Also, it made me so sad. The part that made me, because I hear a lot of people say that this thing will like make you cry.
Yeah.
The thing that did make me cry was when they talked about leaving after Big Bird in China and leaving the
little girl.
Yeah. Jesus, that was sad.
Yeah, they do rectify it. You get to see the reunion later on
totally.
in the documentary. But yeah, Carol Spinney's life also wasn't not an easy life. He had a very tough relationship with his dad, and clearly has a lot of mental health struggles through the years with various, his first marriage and trying to raise kids. So, as much as it feels weird to like say like, so it's a good movie because you get to hear about his terrible life.
Yeah.
But what it is I think it's a nice insight into what a lot of the other Sesame Street performers say in the documentary, is revealing why he's so good at being Big Bird specifically, but also Oscar, because he's able to tap into something inside of him to bring out that like childlike innocence.
Right. Yeah. Especially they hit that especially hard when they're talking about the Goodbye Mr. Hooper episode, and just like, how he can do that. And I think like this show, the thing that's valuable about talking about art and stuff, like, and artists and things like that, is like seeing that everybody, like Carol Spinney, like after his first couple of weeks was like, I'm gonna quit, I suck so bad at this. It's like, that's everybody, like everybody, mostly. There's some people who don't, but everybody mostly goes through that same thing where they're like doubting themselves. Nobody actually knows like how they're being perceived by anybody else, and that's just always like so like comforting in a weird way. Is that how like sad everybody is on the inside? But it's like valuable to see like nobody has a secret code. They just they're just doing their best, and some people are really, really good at certain things that other people aren't good at, like being a giant bird. But it took a lot, like it was hard to get there, and it was hard to do. And then like wrapping it back around to like when Elmo shows up at the end, and it's like he's like a bad guy. I thought that was crazy. Yeah,
everyone is like,
it's like showing clips of Elmo being fucking annoying, and Big Bird being like, Elmo, please stop. And it's
they're like, I wrote a song called Elmo's Song. It's like, Elmo was the villain of the story.
Yeah, I thought that was so crazy.
There are moments of candor in it that I think are really interesting.
Yeah.
Talking about this feeling of wanting to quit. One, you learn that Jim and Carol only met like 3 months before the first episode of Sesame Street airs. So there's a world in which, Big Bird doesn't exist, or Carol's not playing Big Bird. He's not as big of a star. That could have happened so easily if Jim and Carol had not met just 3 months before.
Yeah.
But also that feeling of not belonging or wanting to quit and stuff. Frank Oz sort of reinforces that. He's like, yeah, Carol didn't get along with it. He wasn't cool, essentially, is what it feels like Frank is saying.
They say that
of
a
like,
lot of times, yeah.
Like, yeah, we were the cool kids and Carol didn't fit in.
Right. Or that guy who wrote the book, I can't remember what the book was called or what his name was, who was like, he was either in a trash can or he was in a giant bird and he didn't get to see anybody. And I
believe that was Michael Davis who wrote Street Gang, the book we talked about a little bit earlier.
Okay.
But yeah, it was one of those things where Carol was so cut off from everyone else that he just couldn't be one of the gang quite as much.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've commented on, well, one thing I didn't know was that he was such good friends with Jim, which it seemed like he and his wife would like go on vacation with them sometimes and stuff like that.
Well, they also talk about how, though, that was the first time it happened was a surprise because Carol didn't feel like he was part of that group. And so when Jim called and was like, hey, do you want to come on the boat? They were like, oh, sure.
Yeah.
Like, if that's allowed. So, yeah, I think it's just an interesting look into something that, without this documentary, obviously you don't get that same insight into this person who was somewhat private, and the things you do hear about him are a little bit more almost in character as a Big Bird or an Oscar when he's done books or other things. Right. And so getting this sort of like unfiltered late in life documentary, I think is just sort of a gift that it exists. And I think it's hilarious when they talk about Matt Vogel stepping in to be like the apprentice and how long he had to like wait to take over the role because they're like, okay, you're the backup. You'll inherit Big Bird eventually when Carol retires. And then Carol's just like, but what if I never retire?
Yeah, I think in the documentary, he had been already waiting 15 years, I think, by the time the documentary was made. Yeah,
because I think it was the like 97-ish when Matt Vogel stepped in for the first time to like be a backup Big Bird. And this is made in this came out in 2014. So it's like 2012, 2013 when they're filming this stuff.
Yeah.
And he had still not taken over as Big Bird.
That's holding your hand above your head for that long.
That's when he's like 80 years old.
Yeah.
And he's just like putting your hand up over your head for that long, which I understand he had been doing it for 40 years. But at a certain point, your body just gives out.
Yeah. And the clips towards the end of him just like laying in the sloppy jalopy looking like, I can't do this.
Or when
anymore.
They call cut and he's like, yeah, like, I need a nap.
Yeah. But yeah, the really just like the candor of, then Elmo showed up, the show became for younger people and everything got more annoying was surprising to me that was part of it. But I mean, totally something that, I mean, I think even now they'd be like, Elmo was for this age group. Then kids started looking at iPads. Abby Cadabby showed up and everything got even more annoying. So they're like in the Elmo documentary, like he looks over at Gonger and Abby Cadabby and is like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And Big Bird's just like, hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah. Smoking a cigarette over there on the corner. But yeah, I think it was very valuable to watch. And I do think part of him being isolated is something we talked about, but maybe they don't talk about as much on the documentary, in that Big Bird and Oscar eventually are basically the only, for a long time, are like the only puppets who even exist on the street regularly.
Right.
I mean, that's not, there's like Telly and stuff like that, but
there's a break between Sesame Street puppeteers and the guys Carol sort of started off with, right? Because he started off with Jim and Frank, doing a lot of this,
and
then eventually,
and Jerry
and eventually like Richard and Jerry are there less. Jim and Frank are barely there,
right.
And then it's more of the Kevin Clash, the Martin Robinson, and the new crop of Sesame Street performers.
Yeah,
and so Carol does become sort of like the last of the original guys. There's actually a couple moments in the documentary where they show Jerry Nelson. And Carol and some other like Frank Biondo, like behind the scenes crew people being like, wow, yeah, there's like 4 of us left.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Man, and seeing Jerry Nelson, that must have been really close to the end of his life, right?
Yeah. That's Jerry Nelson died in 2012.
Okay.
And so the fact that this documentary came out in 2014, I have to imagine this was recorded pretty close to the end of his life.
Footage. Yeah. Right.
But yeah, this was at the point where he would be doing the voices for the characters from offset.
Oh, he was still voicing characters at that point.
Yeah, that's why he's there.
Okay.
He would do the Count and stuff, but somebody else would puppeteer the Count while Jerry would do the voice from Offset.
Amazing. But why did you want to watch this one specifically for this?
Well, part of it was that I was trying to decide if we should revisit something we watched in the past, like a Tinker D or something, to see how we still feel about it. But I thought it might be more interesting, and people in our Discord agreed that getting you to watch something that you had not seen before would maybe be more interesting than just being like, oh yeah, we still like this thing, huh?
Yeah.
So one, it's just a good documentary. I was surprised you hadn't seen before, so I figured forcing you to watch it now as opposed to waiting 7 years until we reach it in our chronological watching would not only, be a fun thing to watch, but also I think it does show behind the scenes moments of Big Bird in China and other things we've watched in the past that, and
Muppet Family Christmas. There's some great behind the scenes stuff in Muppet Family Christmas.
Yeah, where Jim's sort of like, oh yeah, well we're going to keep working, but Carol gets to leave.
Yeah, he's talking on that fake phone as Kermit.
Mm-hmm. But the moments where they're showing Big Bird walking across the stones on the water, and they talk about when they were in the boat, and Carol's like, yeah, well, if that would have fallen in, it would have, potentially killed me, but also the costume would have been lost and we would have been screwed because we only brought one costume.
Yeah. And how sad he was when the ROTC guys ripped the feathers out. That part is treated so like reverently.
Yeah. Carol uses some words, which I'm like, that's maybe the one time where I'm like,
he was going through
too much.
It. Yeah.
But I also understand that it was a lot. And you can see from, the other Sesame Street performers who were there, talking about it, was, I don't know, like they understood
it was a bad
that this
day.
was a traumatic thing for Carol.
Yeah.
One of my absolute favorite moments that I feel like if I'm the editor of this documentary, I'm thinking, I bet you wanted to cut that out, but it was too funny, so you left it in even though it doesn't necessarily need to be in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Was Loretta Long, who played Susan on Sesame Street.
Right.
telling the story of when they were doing a live performance and they used like these early wireless mics and the frequency crossed over with like a trucker's CB mic.
Yeah.
And in her words, you heard somebody saying, "Hey, Daddy, I'm waiting for you at the next exit on the highway."
Propositioning somebody else for sex over the microphone in this children's show.
And Loretta Long loves this story very clearly. She is laughing at her own story. It's funny in retrospect that she is barely in this documentary aside from that one story.
Yeah, that maybe is a big part of why they kept it in. But that is interesting. I wonder. But I kept that when that story ended, I was just like, oh, and then what happened? I guess nothing.
They remember they say that Bob had to shove a microphone down
Big
the
Bird.
throat to Big Bird.
Yeah, but it did feel like it came out of nowhere, sort of. I'm also so curious about his first show that Jim saw where everything went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like there's a part of that story not missing, but like not being able to see exactly what happened. Like, he must have done something to really impress Jim beyond just like his thing going wrong. Like his coloring more to it. Like there's something about his telling of the story to himself that I think is missing what Jim was seeing.
Yeah, I think in Street Gang, there's a little bit more detail about that.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know, Carol Spinney and Jim Henson met at a puppetry festival where Carol was supposed to be doing a bit where he had a puppet stage in front of a screen that had sort of a rear projection thing going on with silhouettes. So that way the puppets would sort of have a scenery behind them that they could react to of things that Carol had planned. But when they went to put on the show on, somebody turned on a spotlight that was not previously there, shined on the screen, which ruined this rear projection effect. And so none of the background worked. And Carol couldn't do his planned thing. And so he had to improvise. And that's apparently what led Jim to go sort of see him backstage and say, like, I liked what you were trying to do out there.
Yeah. Why? Great job. Sounds horrible.
That is a good question. I think there is more about it in Street King, but I haven't read that in a while. So I don't know. It's just anything we get that are like bits of behind the scenes information on these people that we've seen do so many dozens of things at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a Sonia Manzano documentary coming out. That I'm like, yes, sign me up. I will take a documentary about any of these people. I really want to see a Bob McGrath documentary about his time being famous in Japan.
I bet he's got some crazy stuff happened to that guy.
Yeah, but for me, it's just, you know, I think especially at the time too when this came out.
Yeah,
Carol Spinney was not the face of the Muppets in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that we got a Carol Spinney documentary before we got a real Jim Henson documentary in the Idea Man level is really interesting to me, and I think it's just something that I'm glad exists because I know that I was one of those people who, when I first watched this, didn't really know that much about the Muppets or Carol Spinney, and getting to learn so much about a person who I didn't know existed really, but obviously knew Big Bird and Oscar, was just, eye-opening in a lot of ways. And like you said, now that we've done this podcast and we do learn a lot more about Carol Spinney and just see him on various things, it's a little less groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of people aren't in that same boat.
I really like right at the very beginning too when he's on What's My Line? Or To Tell the Truth. Is that what it is? To Tell the Truth.
One of those two.
They're all going similar. Like, I'm Carol Spinney. I'm Carol Spinney. And it gets to real Carol Spinney and he says his name. So that's a show where there's three people and the panel's trying to guess which one of them is actually the person that they're whatever. And it gets to Carol and he starts to say, I'm Carol Spinney. And he sounds so much like Big Bird. And you can like see the calculation in his head where he's like, I need to change my voice a little bit. And by the end of the sentence, he's like, and I'm Carol Spinney. And and they still don't get it right. Those idiots.
There's more votes for the first guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is interesting because I think we watched that appearance.
Yeah, we did.
In 71 when we were talking about that era. But it is, again, in retrospect, you're watching that, you're like, obviously that one's Big Bird. He sounds exactly like Big Bird.
But it makes me feel good about our choice to make Big Bird the second best Muppet in Muppet Madness. A true honor bestowed upon him.
Where's our I Am Rolf documentary? Come on.
Yeah. Is there a Jimmy Dean documentary?
I don't know. From Stage to Sausage, the Jimmy Dean story.
It just brings up James Dean documentaries.
SEO was not a problem for Jimmy back then.
Jimmy. Yeah.
But nowadays, trying to search for Jimmy Dean is difficult, man. Even with quotes, it's still like, do you mean James Dean? It's like,
nobody could possibly mean Jimmy Dean. So what do you, let me ask you a couple questions now. I'm going to grill your ass.
Go for it.
Are you looking forward to anything in particular in the next 200 episodes or whatever?
I mean, the post-Jim era is sort of a mystery to me. I think we've talked recently about how there is this weird vibe going on in the stuff we're watching now that feels like the Muppets are out of step with society a little bit.
Right.
Or that they are already sort of a nostalgia act by the late 80s. So seeing how that hurts them, I guess, when you have a nostalgia act that no longer has their flag bearer at the front of this.
And even before that, they were it was kind of publicly messy in a way. Like I feel like the Muppets they're certainly not full force now, but they're not like floundering publicly, because I think like Disney won't let them flounder publicly. Like they wouldn't do a Jim Henson hour where things weren't going well. You know what I mean? It's like everything is so locked up now behind the Disney wall where you're not seeing,
I think it's both good and bad.
Yeah.
That it is locked up, because I do think it keeps them from embarrassing themselves, maybe. But I also think the Muppets and Jim Henson thrived from getting to occasionally embarrass themselves.
Right.
Or try weird ass stuff and go, oh, that didn't work.
Yeah. When there was like a human element to it of Jim, like you're seeing Jim trying to do his dreams, and that's not like an element of it anymore. And I am also, I think what maybe I'm trying to say is that I feel like we maybe won't have as much behind the scenes footage and like stories and stuff eventually as we start to move into later stuff.
I think you're right, but I also think that when we do get it, this is mean, maybe, it might be less interesting because it's not Jim.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like the man who created all of this is still going forth and carrying on his,
and
dream.
Thinking it through in front of us where we can all see it, like his creative process.
Right, because what we'll get is people who are attempting to carry on the legacy, whether it's his actual family or other people being like, here's maybe what Jim would have wanted. So I think, while interesting, because there are like interesting Muppet Christmas Carol behind the scenes things, I don't know if people were clamoring for that quite as much, or if it had the same, cachet of Jim Henson's name attached to it.
Yeah.
And I know that like most of the 90s, we have Muppet Christmas Carol, we have Muppet Treasure Island, we have Muppets Tonight, we have Aliens in the Family, a lesser entry on that list, but that's kind of it. Like Dinosaurs is also happening during this point, but that's, more removed from the main Muppets, obviously. And then in 2000, they sell to a weird German media company. And I think I'm very curious to see as much as we can about why that happens, like to learn more about
that.
Yeah, they only had them for, the 4 or 5 years until Disney gets involved. But yeah, that is in 2000, they sell to EMTV and Merchandising. It's a big company. Apparently in Germany, but they sell off the Muppets.
That's wild. Okay. Okay, here's my next question. It's a bad question because I don't have an answer to it. Are there any enduring mysteries that you really wish we knew the answer to?
I mean, I brought up a couple, I think, on the Shane episode and talking about Muppet Wiki of sort of my white whales that.
Oh yeah, right.
I don't think any of them are that important. The ones that I listed in that, because it was like seeing a picture of the giant animal head. To reveal what that puppet actually looked like, the Jerry Nelson book, and a picture of Jim Henson in reading glasses.
Yeah.
So again, none of those are like these great big mysteries, but I feel like there has to be something that we've wondered about.
The Nancy Sinatra stuff would be fun to see.
Yes. Some of that. There's the weird Pied Piper of Astro World.
Oh yeah,
special that I think Rufus the dog is in.
He's like riding a roller coaster on it or something like that.
Something like that. That's and I think some things like that are just so random and weird and probably not great.
Yeah.
But as much as I enjoy new Jimmy Dean episodes, because those are also always great, I'm waiting for the next big thing to drop.
Yeah.
That it's like, we never had access to this before. And I think we've been sort of lucky that during the run of this podcast, there's been a handful of times where that has happened. And we've just benefited from, being around at the right time. I mean, hell, the podcast started with the Muppet Show being added to Disney Plus.
Yep.
And that wasn't a thing that was that easily accessible before.
Yeah, that's right.
But there's enough things that are sort of feel lost to time in a way that they're not coming back.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the early Today Show appearances, that was, the main bread and butter of Jim's work in the early 60s was constantly going on the Today Show. And I think we've seen like 4 or 5 of those. And then like the 4th or 5th one, they're like, hey, this is your 40th time on the show. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
We didn't see all of those. Obviously more Sam and Friends. But again, after talking to Craig Shemin, doesn't seem like that's just going to happen.
That's mine.
Unless somebody finds it in their shed.
Yeah. I think that, especially after reading that book, the Sam and Friends script book.
Yeah.
That's like it's such a Rocky and Bullwinkle adjacent like type of humor that I like, early TV that I love so much. That's I think my biggest disappointment is somebody's not going to like open a box someday and be like, oh, here's 700 episodes of Sam and Friends like on this cassette tape. Like that's just impossible to happen, right? Basically, I think that sucks because I think there was probably a lot of stuff in there that we would see and go, oh yeah, like even just having the realization that he always was trying to remake Sam and Friends, like reading what they were doing and being like this. He just made like Muppet television in the 80s was basically this, but I don't know, sweatier. Like I don't know. That I wish we could see more. I would love to. I love a little bit more unhinged Jim from the 60s and the
anything
50s.
pre-Sesame Street, really.
Yeah.
I feel like the pre-Sesame Street era of Hey Cinderella, Frog Prince, that kind of stuff, which I know some of it overlaps with Sesame Street as well. But I feel like once Sesame Street starts to really flow, Jim is like, okay, maybe I don't need to do as much of this weird stuff. Maybe we can focus in on some other things. And then they get to doing the Valentine's show and Sex and Violence and then the Muppet Show. So yeah, I think seeing more of that pre-Sesame Street era would be really interesting.
Yeah. And before like when Kermit would go, I think you've talked about this before too, like when Kermit would go on TV and people would be like, this guy's interesting, and talk to him like a normal person versus superstar Kermit later, who had like Miss Piggy question, what's it like being a frog in Hollywood question, blah blah blah, like the same routine every time, instead of like Kermit's flirting with this woman on this talk show from 1963. That's very odd.
Yeah, which I think, what was it? Florence Henderson was one that we saw on like the Mike Douglas show or something like that with Kermit. That was like, oh, this is interesting because it is Jim improving early on when Jim wasn't yet Jim Henson and the Muppets.
Right. He's just some weird guy with a frog on his arm.
Yeah, that's the people I want to hear from. The people who are like, this fucking frog again.
There's something about him. He's sexy as hell.
I want to say he can't come back, but everyone just keeps telling me he's too sexy.
Yeah.
We can't get rid of the sexy frog.
Okay, and do you have any dream guests? This is my last question.
I mean, it's very easy to say Frank Oz.
Yeah.
Like, I think Frank Oz is the number one.
I'm too scared for him to be on.
It would be intimidating for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the more, anyone who worked directly on Muppet projects, whether with Jim or after Jim, I think is always really interesting to get the insight from, So in that regard, I think Matt Vogel would be a fascinating conversation to talk to, as somebody who has been through so many different sort of coming in as this backup Big Bird, essentially, to now being Kermit the Frog. I think there'd be a lot to talk about there. But yeah, do you have any dream guests, either Muppet adjacent or non-Muppet adjacent people?
Yeah, I think it would be really fun to have Emily Marsh on from Mystery Science Theater, or any like a Mystery Science Theater person, I think, because that is a puppet show. And it's not something that I think people think of as a puppet show, even though
Right.
it is a puppet show. And it's almost like those robots looks almost too much like actual robots. It's part of it is like there's not an arm in them, so their articulation is different, and you just don't think
People
about.
would probably just be like, "Oh yeah, the robots from Mystery Science Theater, not the puppets."
Even though like Joel, I think, was a huge Jim Henson fan, and
what if we had Joel Hodgson on here? Would you be able to survive that?
God.
That's a no, I think.
I've modeled my whole life after you. So no, I would be able to. I would love to talk to him.
Yeah.
To Joel or to Trace or Kevin. I'd flip out if we would talk to any of them. But yeah, I think a Mystery Science Theater person would be fun. And I also think I want to talk to Nick and Mitch from the Doughboys, because they've been talking about the Muppets a lot lately on Doughboys.
Let's say, yeah, they just in the as we're recording this, the most recent episode, they discussed the Muppets.
In the last two, their Patreon episode and then their main episode, and they were talking about. They had a guest on, and they were talking about the SNL Muppets, the SNL movie, and on that episode, they're like, oh yeah, they couldn't get the rights to the Muppets, so they made like fake Muppets. And I was listening, and I was like, no,
that's so wrong.
You're so wrong, you idiots. Yeah, and the story's so much more interesting than that. But then they also did say like they really treated him like shit in that movie. I thought that was so weird. But yeah, and they just said a couple things where I was like, God, I wish I was their Jimmy right now. I would tell them.
Yeah, it is very weird now being the people that we have become by doing this podcast and just knowing so many weird things about Jim Henson and the Muppets that does make us insufferable, I think, in a certain level when we let that out.
I don't know. I don't actually try not to do it because I can't let people say wrong stuff about the Muppets.
I try to be very kind about it, where I don't go full, actually, you're wrong.
Yeah.
But I'll sort of try to guide it towards a thing, or like drop it into a sentence of like, oh, yeah, the Land of Gorge Muppets, like Scred and Bluebus. Yeah. It is interesting telling people you have a Muppet podcast and getting their reaction. And I think there's so many different ways I have seen it go over the last, almost 5 years of doing this podcast.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that Nick Weiger, one of the hosts of Doughboys, wrote on Earth to Ned, but also
got firsthand knowledge.
But doesn't know, like, he wasn't a Henson fan before, like, didn't know much about Jim Henson before that.
Gotcha.
But Mitch, the other host, loves the Muppets and watches Muppet Family Christmas and Muppet Christmas Carol he just is a big Muppet fan. So I think it would be an interesting
So this is your
dynamic.
Public plea to the Doughboys.
Yeah,
hey,
please.
Come be on this podcast.
Come talk to us. Yeah.
We're not so bold as to ask to have us on your podcast.
No.
We would never.
No, well, maybe we'll get there eventually.
Wait, I'm not saying we would never go on it. I'm saying we would never ask to go on it.
I would want to eat Taco John's, even though they've already done it, but I would want to go to Taco John's. Just putting it out there.
I don't know what my pick would be.
We could have gone to Pizza Rizzo if we had
Pizza Rizzo been perfect.
Famous fast enough.
That's what we're really here to say, everyone. Make us famous. That's why we're here today, is to plead for fame.
We could have had the last meal at Pizza Rizzo with the Doughboys. That would have been amazing if we had eaten there and we left and we got to turn the lights off and then push the
You're
dynamite.
Asking for a lot.
Push the dynamite
Not only
plunger and blow
do
up
we
Pizza
get
Rizzo.
To hang out with and be on a podcast with the Doughboys, but we also travel to Walt Disney World with them and get to shut down Pizza Rizzo with them.
Yeah, and get to blow it up too.
And get to blow it up, which they're not even actually doing in real life.
They're
going to just remodel it. So you're asking for a lot from this.
There is a universe where this happened, Matt. All things are possible.
That's true. We actually, there's a universe we've already had Frank Oz on this podcast, and he was a great guest.
And he's the
Didn't
third
scare
co-host,
us at all.
And he became the third co-host of the show.
Yes, he's like,
actually, he was like, I would like to
can
say
we
some
start
mean
over?
things. I'd like to say some mean things about Jim too.
Like, yeah, Michael K. Frith was really into Piggy. I was like, I don't think she needs to be this sexy. And he's like, Michael, actually.
That's a really interesting dynamic now that you mention it, because that would be weird if you were like
Frank, be sexier.
Yeah. If you were voicing this character and your coworker kept drawing sexier and sexier pictures of this character. That would be kind of weird, right?
Yeah, like if you're Tom Kenny and the guy who does Patrick could just be like, hey, I drew another sexy SpongeBob.
That was a really good Patrick.
Thanks.
That was amazing. Yeah,
it's sort of. I think it started off bad, and then I was like, I could try this.
It's like his shorts get smaller and smaller every time, every new drawing of him. He's like,
in this one, he's wearing just a tie.
He's got abs. Yeah, what's going on?
I mean, Sam, you know these images already exist on the internet.
I know, but like an official 12-month sexy SpongeBob calendar drawn by somebody that works in the same office as you. It's like that would be so weird. Now I want Frank on so we can ask him about that. What if he does go like, yeah, that was weird, actually, now that you mention it.
Be like, Frank, we have one question for you. If we only get one question. Do you think Miss Piggy is sexy?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Like if we only were able to ask Frank Oz one question, it would be, do you find Miss Piggy attractive?
As you were asking that question, I was picturing him, Frank, on set, talking to Michael K. Frith, and Michael K. Frith is addressing Miss Piggy only, and Frank has to be like, my eyes are up here, Michael.
My eyes are down here.
Yeah, I guess depending on where.
See, I was picturing Frank Oz hanging up a Zoom call that we have with him.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we finally get him on the podcast, and we just say, all right, so how sexy is Miss Piggy? And he's like, this was a waste of my time.
Boys. I'll see you in court. You're finished.
Well, speaking of finished, this feels like a nice little...
This is the last episode of the podcast.
Yeah, that's what we're not even going to go through Jim Henson's life. We're just going to end it right here, 200. That seems like enough.
Yeah.
But no, we should wrap it up, this little celebration of us, by saying thank you to anyone who's listened to all 200 episodes. Even if for some reason,
if you
somehow,
listen to one episode.
If this is your first episode of commitment...
I'm sorry. Yeah.
This is a weird one to start with. Maybe go back and find something else to listen to on this one.
Maybe we gave you some hot tips about good episodes and good guests, though.
There we go. We listed out some fun guests.
Yeah.
So go check those out. And yeah.
I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it a billion times. My actual favorite part of this podcast is our Discord, where all these nice people talk all day long and ask us questions and ask each other questions and find new stuff and find merch and share things that they're non-Muppet stuff. Like that's the best part of all of it, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I think podcasting, this is going to sound very dramatic. Podcasting can be a very lonely hobby where it's very easy to make a podcast, put it out in the world, and not have any idea what people think about it because they don't have YouTube comments in the same way.
Yeah.
We're not necessarily, asking people's opinions at the end of the podcast to be like, hey, make sure you tweet us and tell us what you thought of this episode.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do that. We just don't normally ask for it. So it is nice to have this constant group in our Discord to talk to about these things, to share new things with, but also gives us feedback and we'll highlight parts of the episodes that really stood out to them. Or, when we're looking back over the podcast, asking them like, oh yeah, what was your favorite guest or your favorite moment with a guest? And it's nice to have that little focus group of delightful people that we get to talk to about Muppets.
Yeah. And it's like beyond us too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not all about us, which I would hate if it was all about us on that Discord. It's just,
there's not a channel that's about, Matt and Sam gossip.
And we'll have a feet pick channel.
No. But you have to pay to not be included.
Yeah. That's right.
All right. Well, Sam, before we head out and go to figure out what the hell we're going to do tonight at this Muppet Christmas Carol screening, I got to ask you, did you enjoy any non-Muppet things this week?
Did I? Let me look. Oh, I watched Babe. Oh, well, let's see. What have I talked about? What was the last thing we did?
Please continue that thought.
I watched Babe.
Yes, which is why earlier you said That'll Do Pig.
That'll Do Pig. I was thinking of myself, looking up at Farmer Hoggett. That movie's funny.
In my head, I was like, oh, the British person we could get on this podcast to say that to you is James Cromwell, and then realized James Cromwell is not British.
Oh, no. Is he New Zealand or Australian?
No, he's American.
He's American?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, James Cromwell. The most British American.
His name's Cromwell.
Yeah.
He's not
and
British.
He looks like that. Yeah.
Wow.
No, very
Congratulations to you, sir. You're a chameleon. That movie's fucking good. Have you seen it lately?
Not recently. I
great.
remember enjoying it when I was little, and I hear people say good things about it all the time. So
it's an outstanding, like truly fantastic movie, and the puppets were done by the Jim Henson Company.
Yes.
So we'll have to watch it someday. And my family, we watched it over Thanksgiving, and my parents would be like, "That's not a puppet." I'd be like, "Yeah, obviously it's a fucking puppet." But the puppet's
that's a real pig.
I mean, often it is a real pig. Yeah. But that they've glued a little brown hair to the head of. But they, man, make you laugh, make you cry. It's great.
I'm sending you a picture of James Cromwell right now, and you can't tell me that man's not British.
That I'm shocked. This is so shocking to me. That
this is like a 1970s photo of James Cromwell, and if he's not friends with like Spike Milligan and that crew,
that's the 70s British guy haircut.
Yeah,
wild. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Sure? Did you look it up?
I did, because I was going to make the joke that he should be like, when we feel like you've peaked. We not tired anymore, we'll have James Cromwell on as a guest to say, that'll do, Sam.
Big. Yeah. Let's see. Where is he born? He was born in Los Angeles, California?
Yeah.
What? I'm horrified by this information. Wow. Okay. So the other thing I watched was, Wake Up Dead Man. Did I talk about that already? I can't remember. The new Knives Out mystery.
No. Because I'm assuming
I went to see that over break too.
Okay. In my head, you didn't like it because I just feel like I haven't seen it, but I just feel like something about it you're not going to like.
Oh, no. I thought it was great.
Okay.
I actually rewatched all three of them. And, I rewatched the other two, Knives Out and Glass Onion.
Yeah.
And when the first time I saw Glass Onion, I hated it.
But that's why I think I had that in my brain.
Yeah.
I knew that about you, and so I assumed you would hate this.
This time when I watched Glass Onion, I think I was just like, it seemed too cartoony when I watched Glass Onion. And I think a few years down the line, with Elon Musk becoming just like crazier and crazier, and all rich people becoming crazier and crazier, you watch it and you're like, yeah, that about makes sense.
Yeah, it almost doesn't feel like satire anymore. It's like, yeah, these are probably all true stories.
Yeah, it was like a little bit ahead of its time, I think, because like, all of the characters are just like so, there's somebody like that now. That sucks. But I think Wake Up Dead Man is the best one, in my opinion.
Okay.
There's something about, this is going to be such a mean thing to say, there's something about Rian Johnson movies that feel sometimes like he's pretending to make a movie, and I don't quite know how to explain it. They just feel like there's something about them that's like not quite right.
I think this is maybe, and it's not always a problem, but I think this is my problem with some recent Wes Anderson movies.
I can see
where since Grand Budapest, I've had issues getting into some of his films because I'm like, I think everyone in this is acting like they're in a movie.
Yeah,
right now.
That's maybe exactly what it is. And maybe it's a directing style to actors where you want that. There's like a 70s something. There's
like an artificial layer to it that is almost like you're acting in a 1970s movie, not this current movie right now.
Yes. Yeah. You are in a movie is a directive that comes through in his movies. I don't think Rogue One is like, or not. I don't think
Last Jedi. No. That definitely does not feel like people are like, hey, I'm in a Star Wars.
Yes. No, it doesn't. Maybe actually. There might be a couple times it does. Like but like
in a good way.
Poe might feel like he is doing that.
It does open up with him like prank calling the Empire.
Yeah. Poe in that movie feels like the most Rian Johnson character of anybody in that movie, I think. Like he could crash on Earth and say, help me.
There's also the shot, and these are not digs. I love Last Jedi.
I do too.
There's the iron shot.
Yeah, that's true.
Where it's like the iron is coming down to like press Kylo Ren's robes, and
like,
it looks like a ship.
Yep. And that's like straight out of an episode of like Natasha Lyonne. Show. Poker Face.
That one.
That shot is like straight out of an episode of Poker Face or something like that. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just like an artifice that I'm sure is on purpose on his part. And it does feel mean when I think it, but I don't know if it actually is a mean thing
It doesn't.
to say.
It sounds mean to say, maybe, but also you did enjoy the movie a lot.
Yes, and I don't think he's doing it accidentally or anything like that.
No.
But yeah, it feels like you're watching a play. There's a little bit of it that feels like you're watching a stage play or something like that.
Right.
But it's beautiful. Mostly,
right. Like Benoit Blanc could turn to the screen and be like, "Look at this asshole," and you'd be like,
yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, and I love that character. Just like, what's that guy's real name? James Bond.
That's his name.
James Bond.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig is so good at those movies, and he's pulling a reverse James Cromwell. He's British. Daniel Craig is a pretty American name.
What do you think of Rian Johnson's recent comments about not making a Muppet Knives Out movie?
Oh, I think it's stupid. I think a Muppet Knives Out movie would set the world on fire. I think it would be
I understand his reasoning. Because basically he said, like, Muppets don't make sense in my current universe of Benoit Blanc movies.
I just don't
because that breaks the world.
I don't agree
and then
with that.
Also, he's saying putting Benoit Blanc into the Muppet universe would break that universe, which I actually agree with less. But I also understand that, like, it would be weird for Benoit Blanc as a character to show up as a cameo in something that wacky. So I understand his reasoning. I do think there's ways to make it work. Like, those rules that you're breaking are the ones you invented. So, like, if anyone could break them, you could break them. But he also did say that he would love to make a Muppet movie.
Yeah, I saw that. I just think the characters in Glass Onion are as cartoony as a Muppet. I don't think there's a lot of distance.
Throw a Gonzo in there.
Yeah.
Like, don't address it at all.
Yeah.
Just Gonzo is in one of these movies.
Yeah. It's like Sesame Street. We just happen to live with a bunch of colorful, weird monsters.
Yeah.
But anyway, how about you?
Oh, well, this morning I woke up super early to watch the last race of the Formula One season. Oh. So that's the most recent non-Muppet thing I watched.
So it was like somebody crowned champion or something?
They were. Okay. Lando Norris won his first championship.
Oh, that's a cool
It was a very big deal.
Lando
Norris.
Okay.
And he's honestly the one who calls people Muppets the most, I believe.
Oh. Okay.
But I don't think it's a reference at all to the Muppets, because he also strikes me as somebody who might dislike the Muppets. Or just be like, ugh, fucking puppets? Why do I care?
I'm looking at him. He looks like somebody who'd call you a Muppet.
When I picture somebody calling somebody a Muppet, I hear it in his voice now, because he has said it so often, and it just sounds like a very natural part of his vocabulary.
He looks like a bit of a lad. Is he a bit of a lad?
Is that a positive or a negative thing? Either way, yes.
Okay.
It was a very good race, very stressful. It was one of those where basically there was 3 drivers who could have won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So there was lots of, if the race finishes this way, this guy wins. But if this guy gets that thing, it actually is going to be this guy. So there was lots of, like, tension of who could actually win the championship.
Are you going to watch next season too? Are you still into
Oh, yeah, of course. The nice thing is that I still have, the streaming service, so I'll probably watch some old races in between seasons. They put out the documentary series Drive to Survive on Netflix in, like, February before the new season starts. So there'll be that to watch. And there's only, like, 3 months off between seasons. So
okay.
I only got to wait like 91 days or something, they said, until the next season starts. So yeah, I'll keep watching. All right. Well, next time we will be back with a fairly normal, regular episode of Commitment. We will be discussing another Jim Henson Hour episode 8, called Videotape. And we will be joined by special guest, Joe Hennis.
Hell yeah.
We sang his praises earlier, so we're excited about that one.
It'll be a fun conversation.
But we are going to be taking a couple weeks off for the holidays, so if you're one of the people who listens to this as it comes out, go listen to Muppeturgy or some other Tough Pigs podcast in the meantime. Or catch up on this one if for some reason this is your very first episode of Commitment. It's not normally like this.
But I hope you liked it.
Yeah. So we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music that you've heard in all 200 episodes of this podcast, and Cassie Wilson, who shows up every week to sing our theme song live in studio.
They both insist on doing it live every time.
She's not hanging out with the next mayor of New York. Yeah. She's singing our theme song. That's the 2 things she does with her free time. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all commitment needs or merch or any of that stuff. As much as I said earlier, we don't ask for comments on this. You can leave them on YouTube or Spotify, or you can leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can do so at mail@commitment.com. If you're Frank Oz and want to be on this podcast, send over a request and we'll
send over your resume.
It.
Yeah, we'll take a peek.
But you can also follow us on social media at commitmentpod or at commitment.com on Blue Sky, or you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.